Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. I'm your host, Pat Soroyes. Just want to let you guys know we are a bi-monthly podcast. We're dropping 2 episodes every month. And if you like what you hear and you want to follow us on all the socials, I'd highly recommend that. We're on Patreon. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. YouTube, we do full video episodes as well as clips on all the other platforms. Check those out. If you like what you hear, you can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. You can get 2 more episodes every month, access to our Discord server, which is a really fun place to be if you want to talk to other people in the scam gang and talk about all sorts of scams that come up in there every day. That's a great place. You also get access to our back catalog, so a ton of episodes you can go and listen to. Again, that's patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. And I am here in the Comedy Frequency Studios with my co-host Kath Barbadoro. Kath, how you doing?
Hi, Pat. I'm okay. I'm doing all right. I think I talked about this last time we recorded. Nothing has changed. My entire personality is still that I joined a luxury gym.
That's all I do. I saw your post about that, and you were like, you've been keeping me updated on it, and you were just like, the thrill hasn't worn off yet.
It's the best investment I've ever made. It's so great. It's so nice. It's so clean. It's clean. They have bathrobes. Everyone is hot. There are like glasses. It's so great. I was there earlier today. They have like a co-working space so you can like do some work and then go work out and then go back.
Wow.
It's lovely. It's so good.
That's so sick.
That's all I've been doing since the last time I saw you. Somewhat complicated by the fact that I'm having back problems again and I have to go back to physical therapy. But guess what? My physical therapy office is like a 5-minute walk from my gym. So It's all working out.
Oh, that's so sick. I am very happy for you, man. That's so cool. Is it possible to stay there too long? Or whatever, be like the little freckly kid from The Simpsons being like, oh, ma'am, you have to leave. Like you've been here for 18 hours.
I was thinking that because like on Sunday, I was like legitimately there for like 4 hours.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Is this weird? But I don't know. There are people that I have already seen where I'm like, you were here last time and I came at a totally different time. So like, I think there are people who live there.
Just hanging out. Yeah. Well, like in big cities like that, half of it is like just a space to spend some time outside of your house can be a challenge.
And you already paid for it.
You already
don't
paid
need
for
to buy
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Also, it's like having a place that's so like where it is it's sort of halfway between my job and my house. And it's also really close to a bunch of subway lines. So having a place like that where I can go take a shower
key.
and like blow dry my hair and stuff. So it's like, oh, okay, I can just stop here, not even work out, just like clean up and go to a show or something.
Yeah.
It's like great. So yeah.
I
feel like people use it that way too. Like just a place where you can sort of like clean yourself up a little bit.
I used to stash a bottle of hair gel and deodorant and like a toothbrush up at the Velveeta room downtown. And I would just get off work and I would just duck in. I mean, even though I did a show there, I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? I just go to the back and clean myself up and head out for the night.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's
How
cool.
are you, Pat?
I'm good. I've still been running and hiking. I ran before we came here. I cut it a little short because I have a whole thing about like, if I'm ahead of schedule, one of the new things with doing my thing is I tell myself, don't blow the lead. Like and so I was like,
nice.
Yeah, don't blow the lead. You got time.
That's a good motto.
Yeah.
I gotta keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
You were ready to go early.
Yeah.
You started like 20 minutes ahead of schedule. It was great.
Yeah, dude. If I'm early for stuff, like people are shocked, like, what the fuck? What's going on here? But
I mean, you're like generally on time.
Yeah.
But I was just like early.
Yeah.
From work. Like you had to work all day. I was very impressed.
Oh, thank you. Can so I wanted to share, I've been waiting for us to record again because I want to share this little like going on in my life story thing.
Okay.
I told this story to Jake Rowe in front of the show. Jake Rowe was like, that's the most boring story I've ever heard, but I think it's cool. And it's like so I've been going hiking and I go to these trails and I was on this one called Spicewood Valley Trail here in Austin, Texas. And I was walking through there and like a year ago, I saw this thing, but I got enamored with it. This old rusted out car. It's like a 1970s luxury model vehicle. It's rusted all to hell. It's just in a pile on this trail. And I found it and I was like looking from where it is in the road because there's a road up above it. And I was like, how'd this thing get back here? And I was like, dude, I bet this car drove off that road and flew into the trees and got sucked down here. And now it's just here. And that was my theory. So I started looking at it. I went back and I've tried to find a VIN number on it because I wanted to look it up. And then I started trying to like Google search to see Spicewood Springs, car crash, whatever. found a Reddit thread that was like, oh, that car's been there since at least the 90s when I started hiking there. And I was like, okay, so it's been there for a while now. So I'll go back again and I'm looking at it. And then this lady walks by and she's like, oh yeah, there's another car on the trail up the like a few like 100 feet up. I was like, what? And I go and it's an old rusted out 1975 Ford or 1975 Fiat sport coupe. And I was like, okay, less likely that two cars drove off the road and fell into here. So I start looking at it and I find a history professor from Southwestern wrote a story about these like families that were called the Cedar Chopper families. They're like the barefoot redneck clans that inhabited what's now Cedar Park and like Georgetown and Round Rock. And one of the guys' names was Floyd Cantwell, and he owned an auto body shop there before they turned it into a luxury housing subdivision. And he cleared all his cars out except for like 2 or 3. And I found an interview with him, and I emailed the author, and he told me, yeah, that guy had a car shop there. And I told this story to Jake, and Jake was like, that's the most boring story I've ever heard.
No, I disagree with Jake. I think that is, number one, so interesting. And number 2, exactly the kind of shit I am always like looking up and trying to figure out and like going to. That's probably why we do this show together.
That's exactly
we're these types of people.
What the bartender of the lodge.
Fuck you, Jake.
Yeah,
bro.
fuck
You're
you,
wrong.
Jake. Yeah. That's what the bartender of the lodge was like. This is the kind of shit he's into. And it's just like, and I've told Jake this for years. He lacks a curious mind. Anyway.
We're always saying that about him.
Yeah, we're always saying that about Jake. So, let us know in the comments or respond to us. Like, let us know if you think that story is horrible and I should never bring it up in public again, or if I should tell everyone about it the way I've been doing. So,
I love that you emailed the author.
I did.
That's rad.
That was cool.
I had a similar thing recently where I got really into in New England. You might remember this from Connecticut, although I think they're more kind of in like the coastal Massachusetts. The Puritan era, like the Pilgrim era gravestones are really fucking cool. And they have these really cool engravings on them that are like really scary. Like it was back when they were like, death is scary. So a lot of like, a lot of just really cool, distinctive like skulls and crossbones and hourglasses with wings. And,
whoa, that's
really,
sick.
really cool. Kind of like primitive looking like folk art. And I got really into them, and I found this website where this guy had meticulously cataloged like hundreds and hundreds of gravestones around New England. And it's one of those sites where it's like the glue that holds the internet together. It's like an incredibly valuable site that was like made on GeoCities and like barely works. And it's basically just like a public facing like index, like file index. And I emailed the guy and I was just like, thank you so much for doing this. Like, please make sure this is preserved and does not like get up. Like, I don't know, just don't let them like take this away. Just like, thank you so much. Like this is like my life's work. Like I've spent so much time doing it. And I was just like, hell yeah, dude.
That's so sick. Yeah, the stuff you stumble across it. I found out that the guy told me, he's like, if you want to look the guy up, he might still be alive. He owns an auto body shop that's up on 183 near Briggs, which if I were going to my mom's house today, I would drive by that and have drove by that auto body shop every day. Like not every day, but like for my entire life, I've driven by that, and I've driven by. You gotta
stop in and ask him.
I have to now. Yeah. So I'll keep you guys updated if I find out anything else. Oh, also, I did see another Reddit thread that said there's a third old dump truck out there that's rusted out. So I gotta find the dump truck.
I'll
let you guys know.
That's the next.
Looking for the dump truck. Story of your boy's life.
I don't really have a segue for this.
Not about dump trucks?
I can't think of a segue. Okay, here's one. Speaking of transportation.
Okay.
What do you do in a car? You sit in traffic.
Yes.
Today we're talking about a drug trafficker.
Hey, there you go.
That's right.
All right.
That is my segue. Yeah.
I love the guy. You told me you thought I was going to like this guy, and he already seems to be speaking my language.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think you're gonna condone everything he did, but I think you're gonna be tickled by him.
Okay, yeah.
And another fun thing about this is he currently remains at large, so we also don't want to say anything too bad about him because he's still out there,
dude. Yeah, so. And it's been happening a lot lately where subjects of our shows have reached out to us, and I'm hoping that the trend that stops with this guy.
If this guy reaches out to us, we are in trouble because he is extremely powerful, as we will come to see. So
Kaiser Soze.
Most of the reporting I got to build this outline is from a couple Washington Post articles from this past summer by Kevin Seif, and then also a podcast called The Opportunist, which is hosted by Sarah James McLaughlin, which sounds like she mostly got it from these Washington Post. Like I don't think there was any other source of reporting, but she did talk to some like researchers and experts and stuff like that.
Do you do that in your research? Do you find like the same like sentences being like parroted throughout there? You're like, oh, this is all from one guy's hard work.
That's the thing is like, and we definitely quote from sources and stuff before, but like when I hear other people doing it, I'm like, because sometimes I'm like, you know, we obviously like we're comedians, we don't do original research.
Yeah.
Like beyond like maybe we'll like go into some report or something, but like we're not like finding out things that haven't already been found out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm like, you know, should we be trying to do that more? And then I listen to these things that are just fully plagiarized. Yeah. And I'm like, we're doing okay.
Yeah. We're doing all right. Bad. Yeah.
We're offering some other sources or other like perspectives as well as, you know, quoting from actual research.
Yeah. We bring something to the table. It's like we're having fun with it, you know, like that's.
Yeah. It is a bummer when you find that where you're just like, oh, wow. Okay. This is.
Yeah. Well, it's usually when you're trying
an article someone else wrote without.
Yeah. Well, it's usually when you're trying to find more, when you're like, okay, this is good. This is interesting. I want to find more about this. And you're realizing you're just reading everyone else's take on that article.
Exactly. I'm sure. So this guy, he's from Uruguay. So I'm imagining there's probably a lot more about him in Spanish language. And there is like a lot about him, but not really like this all encompassing thing. So the guy we're talking about today is named Sebastian Marset.
Okay.
And we'll start right at the beginning. He was born in Uruguay. He was born in this town called Montevideo. I'm not going to be pronouncing anything correctly. Probably Montevideo if I had to guess.
I heart Montevideo.
Yeah, so he's born in Montevideo. So one thing to know about Uruguay for this story is that it generally considers itself like what the Washington Post article used the term the Switzerland of South America. They're like they're relatively safe. They don't have a big history of drug trafficking. They're just very sort of like hands off. They're like, we don't get up to the shit that all these other countries are getting up to.
Yeah.
We're like minding our business.
Are they also nestled in the mountains similar to a large portion of the country? Or I might be thinking of the Uruguayan rugby team that got trapped in the mountains. That might be what I'm thinking about.
I mean, I think it's fairly mountainous. I think it's mountainous. The Uruguayan rugby team did get stuck in some mountains.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, so if Brazil kind of sticks out and makes like a like little horn, Uruguay is like at the bottom of that.
Okay.
So it's like right before South America sort of turns into like a little funnel.
Yes.
It's like right before that. So it borders Brazil on one side, Argentina on the other side. Paraguay is really close, and then Bolivia, and then up Colombia and stuff like that. And all that stuff is like further north. So yeah, so the relevant countries of the story are going to be Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Brazil. So yeah, it's like further south. So it's like it's kind of out of the way for drug trafficking. It's not if they're manufacturing the cocaine in Bolivia and you wanted to get to the United States, it avoids Uruguay altogether. So it's like pretty chill down there. So this guy's growing up in this environment. He's around our age. He's I think he is right now 34, so he's pretty young.
Oh, word. A millennial.
People call him the millennial narco. So
that's what's up.
Yep. He was like a really smart, confident kid. He loved soccer. This is like why we're talking about him, because he fucking loves soccer. He one of the sources in the Opportunist podcast said, this guy as a drug trafficker is living his second best life because what he really wanted to do was play soccer. Like, that was his dream. But it arguably, we'll see, because he does end up playing some soccer. He arguably like became a drug dealer so that he could play soccer, which we will get into. Yeah. So after high school, he does start playing on a semi-professional team, but it's clear that that's as far as he's going to go.
Yeah.
He's a peaked in high school player. He's not anything, particularly extraordinary. So like he was never going to play competitively as an adult. So he gets into crime.
Nice. So, yeah. What else is there except, it's
nothing else.
The only other option.
Yeah. So at 18, he's arrested for possession of stolen goods. Then a little later, he gets arrested for possession of narcotics. Whoever he's working with, he's like, give me, I want more. Like, give me the
Yeah.
higher, like, more responsibility shit. So
He's a real go-getter.
he is. That is honestly a good way to describe him.
Yeah. When you take that athletic,
unfortunately, he does not go get the ball fast enough.
yeah.
Kind of his problem.
Well, it's like you see people who like have like athletic background will excel like in certain like the professional spheres because it's just about that very like, hey, team oriented. We're gonna put the initiative, the best foot forward. Why does it have to be any different for drugs? You know, like, that feels like that would also resonate.
I think this guy really has that too. Like he clearly is like a good hang. Like he gets along with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's how he's able, we'll get into it, but that's how he's able to sort of establish these drug trafficking routes. He's also very handsome and like young, and he has like a lot of tattoos, which end up being a problem for him, but like he just looks like a cool dude.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Millennial cool guy.
Millennial cool guy,
Yeah.
absolutely. So he, like I said, he sort of is moving up the ranks of whatever criminals he's working with, and he gets the job to go out and meet an airplane is going to be coming from Paraguay with marijuana, and he's supposed to go meet them at the airfield. When he gets to the airfield, the cops are there. They arrest him. He goes to jail for 5 years.
Damn.
He is 22 at this point. He's 22.
Shit. To quote Dave Chappelle in Half Baked, 5 years is for weed. Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets sent to a very tough prison in Uruguay.
Are there non-tough prisons in Uruguay?
That's the thing is like American prison seems really bad. Any country besides like Sweden or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't want to get sent to prison there.
Yeah,
it seems worse. It seems like the prisons other places are really bad. I don't know.
I don't want to go here. I certainly don't want to go there. You know,
I've seen Midnight Express.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go to fucking Turkish prison. No, thank you. But so he gets sentenced to Libertad, this like big scary prison, and this is when he actually, this is again this kind of mindset. This is not a setback for this guy. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
This guy sees prison as a networking opportunity. He's like, this is where I can meet the big dogs. That's what I'm going in here for.
It's like Cedar Rapids for insurance salesmen or whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's where you like you want to get there.
That's where they are.
Yeah. It's a 4-year convention. You know.
Exactly. So what he does is and I think probably he was able to do this because as far as the guys in there, his offense is fairly low level.
Yeah.
So he gets a job working as like a custodian, and as he's like going through cleaning, he basically gets access to every part of the prison and every like he meets everybody because he has to like fucking mop their cells and stuff. So he strikes up friendships with all of these different dudes who work for different organized crime groups. So in particular, he meets this Brazilian gang. I can't remember what they're called. They have a name that sounds like a bank. I'll get to it eventually in my outline. But he meets this Brazilian gang, and then he also meets members of the Italian mafia, the Ndrangheta, I think, from Naples.
Oh wow.
They're there too. So he leaves prison 5 years later with all of these connections in organized crime, and he immediately starts putting them to work. So in the Washington Post article, someone says about him, everyone leaves prison with contacts, but it was also his own ability and what he did when he got out that got him to where he is now. And the reason I'm quoting this directly is because the person who said this was his own lawyer, which is crazy.
Like, my client is so good at what he does.
Yeah, just like this guy, talented. By the way, okay, the Brazilian gang is called First Capital Command, which I think is very funny. It just sounds like a bank.
Yeah, I'm checking with them. Yeah.
So he gets up and running really quickly. Like he is astonishingly successful at establishing drug trafficking routes in Uruguay. And part of the reason he's able to do this is because of a change in the drug market that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years. So, like I said, this is not a good place for drug trafficking if you want to get drugs in the United States. However, it is a very good place for drug trafficking if you want to get drugs into Europe.
Oh, yeah, because you're going right
So,
off to the eastern coast of South America, right there.
exactly.
And obviously I'm sure America's the big market for drugs, but like, like there's everything's so American centralized. You think about like, crime stories and shit like that, or if it's like it's always people trying to get it into America, and you gotta think like other people want to get high too. Like it's got to go places. Yeah. He went the European route. That's cool.
Yeah, well, and apparently like the market has changed in the last few years where I mean obviously cocaine is profitable no matter where you're putting it, it's going to be you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
But
there's one way to lose money on cocaine and it's up your nose. That's the only way to do it.
But the there's been more of a crackdown in the US, which means it's less profitable because these big cartels lose a lot of product to seizures and stuff. So even if they're not like at risk of going to jail or whatever, they're still it still cuts into their profits to lose that stuff. And also cocaine in the US is not as popular as it used to be. People don't use it as much. It's not as expensive as it used to be. Whereas in Europe, it's gotten more popular and more expensive. And it doesn't face the same like extreme border crackdowns that happen on the southern US border.
Yeah. EU, baby. Yeah. Good luck, Brexit. Good luck getting getting zooted out there. Yeah, that's that is very true. With like the just coke prices going down. Also, I always think like when someone is like a tried and true like cocaine addiction, I always think about just like that must be so much damn money. It's the least cost effective drug of all time. And like I just think about that like where it's like if you're doing like if you're like doing enough to like I've been around the block. I've seen some folks doing a whole bunch of coke, but if you're somebody that's doing like a couple $100 a day, in my head I'm just like, what is that? How do you even keep that up, man? Like that's insane.
Right. Like you said, like it's not even just obviously, yes, it's expensive, but like the cost effectiveness of like it doesn't you're not high for that long.
Yeah.
It's super addictive. You have to keep doing it. It's very expensive.
Yeah. And then you're up at 6 a.m. Some guy you met 9
you're
hours
awake
ago.
All day,
Yeah.
So you're gonna be doing cocaine that whole time.
Yeah. It's either try to go to bed or do more cocaine. Some strangers showing you YouTube videos. It's fucking 6 o'clock a.m. Birds are chirping. Nightmare.
Yeah. I just rewatched Boogie Nights the other night. And, that Alfred Molina smoking freebasing cocaine and saying, "You guys want to play baseball?" It's so funny. You guys want to play baseball? Yeah, really good. But I think like partially here it's like the crackdown and also like people are really scared of fentanyl. So like I was thinking when I was doing this, I was like, I don't know a lot of people who do cocaine anymore. And then I was like, Kath, you're 36. Yeah, no wonder.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I have to think that contributes to some of the fact that I don't know a lot of people who do cocaine anymore.
Yeah, it definitely like it cycles out if you're doing things right.
Yeah. You'd hope. But yeah, really popular in Europe, really expensive. I guess particularly there's a big market for it in Russia. Yeah. So if you can get it over there.
Shit, vodka and Coke. Shit. That shit goes.
Yep. Yeah. A classic combo.
Yeah, classic combo.
But yeah, so he is able to establish these trafficking routes because his hometown, Montevideo, is actually a really big port city. So they already are sending a lot of stuff to Europe.
Yeah.
So he's like really well positioned to do this. So basically the way this would work is he hooked up with this Brazilian gang, First Capital Command, to get the coke that they were manufacturing to Montevideo. He would get it over to Europe with help from the Italian organized crime groups.
Yeah.
And they would offload it in like Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. So
give this dude one of those like podcasts where he's just like, it's all about opportunity, seizing opportunity. Like I would watch this guy talk about that.
And it's really interesting because like he really did kind of come out of nowhere. Like it was right place, right time. And like he'd made these connections, but he didn't like rise through the ranks of an organized crime group. Like he just had connections between all of these people.
Yeah.
And
And if you're offering like a service like that where it's like you can keep yourself kind of like an independent contractor away from the thing, you're not climbing the ranks of organization, so the level of violence you're going to be exposed to is going to be minimalized to that degree, and then you're also not supplying the drugs or whatever. It's like you're literally hey, you got drugs, you want to get out of here, I can help you chart the path through, and you become an asset to those people. Now like your involvement, like, or at least your safety is like paramount to them. It's like, we don't want to lose this guy. That's how I get my shit out of the country. That's a really smart position to put yourself in.
I mean, it's like the classic, you've seen Narcos, the show Narcos Mexico, where they're like, we don't need to grow it. Like, we're moving up in the world. We're gonna traffic it.
Yeah,
like, that's, yeah. Anyway, so the way it would work was this Brazilian gang would oversee the cocaine manufacturer in Bolivia. They would fly it to Paraguay, and then it would get into Uruguay from Paraguay because they're close. I think that was how it would work. And the reason that this was able to work, which also will come up later, is there's a lot of sort of institutional friction and disconnect between these countries.
Yeah.
Mainly the biggest problem is with Paraguay and Uruguay. So despite the fact that they have very similar names, they are very different countries politically. Paraguay is like comically corrupt. It is extremely, extremely corrupt. Uruguay has this reputation of being very safe, very like low crime. And so the people in the like Uruguayan government doesn't really want to work with the Paraguayan government.
Yeah.
And the Uruguayan government also doesn't have a lot of infrastructure to like surveil, like they're not familiar with investigating drug trafficking because they don't have drug trafficking there. So like
it's that a great place to get started.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love finding out about a beef between two countries that I would have a hard time distinguishing on a map. That's always great. Like they did that great in Borat where he's like talking about what Kazakhstan is. He goes, it's surrounded by Turkmenistan, this, that, and he goes, and assholes, Uzbekistan. And like when they're in DC and they're passing the Uzbekistan, the Uzbek embassy, and they're all just flipping it off. Like they're just like you guys get it? Fuck those guys, right?
Yeah. He also he placed stamps on his drug shipments that said "the King of the South." Which
Hell
is fucking
yeah,
dope. He was very cool.
Yeah, that's rad.
By the time he was 31, he was a billionaire. That's how successful he was at this. He made $1 billion in like 4 years.
That's insane. That's incalculable. That's wild. $250 million a year for 4 years. It's like damn. Get him, dog.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So Paraguayan officials do start investigating him because he is flying drugs in and out of their country.
Yeah.
Because they would, so what would happen was they would dispatch planes from Paraguay. I said this a little wrong earlier. They dispatch planes from Paraguay. They would fly across the border to Bolivia, pick up the cocaine, and then fly back to Paraguay, and then put the drugs on container ships that were on the river in Paraguay that flows to the port. Okay. So that's how they were doing this. So I was a little vague about it before, but that's how it's working. So then these containers would get, the Wire Season 2 style loaded on these ships bound for Europe. And sent over there. So another thing to note is this was super fucking easy to do because despite being a really big port, the port of Montevideo only had one semi-functional scanner. So these ships were almost never inspected.
Man, that's gonna be wild to know that. Like if you're a guy that runs container ships and you're just like, oh, Uruguay, they have one, it barely works. Like how do you not get your beak a little wet? You know what I'm saying? Like
they're asking for it. Yeah, I think that's the thing is like Uruguay was like so proud of how safe they were or whatever, and it's like it's just because it wasn't worth it to traffic drugs through you. It's not
It's like some get like nobody tries anything like that on my block, and it's like no one you like you live in the suburbs. Like that's
So the Paraguay does start investigating him, and they like get some wiretaps going and stuff. They identify at least 13 private jets that are being used by the cartel to traffic stuff in and out of Bolivia. 4 of them were just cash. That's all they did was move
Wow.
cash. So they were doing good.
Yeah, that's the thing that obviously comes up in a lot of like drug movies and stuff. But when you have like that much cash on hand, it's like, what do you do with that? Where it becomes like a weighted commodity, where it's like, I have like this bulk of cash that needs to go somewhere. That's a wild problem to think about.
Well, we're going to talk very soon about how he laundered that money, which is the reason we're talking about him, because it is very funny. So at this point, all they know about the guy who runs this, the people on the phone are just calling him El Jefe Mayor, the big boss.
Yeah.
They're just calling him the big boss. Sick thing to call somebody.
Yeah.
And they know he is a Uruguayan who has tattoos. That's all they know. He has a right arm tattoo at this point. So they know that. They know that he sometimes, when they're referring to drug shipments, they use code words related to soccer.
Okay.
So like one time he calls the package Maradona, who's like a very famous soccer player. There was another one that was called Manchester after the
Oh hell yeah, Manchester United. Yeah.
So
they're using code words associated with soccer. Boring, ties. They were doing that.
No scoring. Yeah, 0-0. Yeah. So naturally, this guy has a gajillion dollars. People are investigating him. He is very well connected, which helps, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But he, like we said, with these planes, he needs to launder this money. He has so much money coming in. He's got to figure out how to do it. First, he opens a car dealership. There's a point at which he invests in like a martial arts gym. Like he does stuff, but he's like, this is not big enough.
Yeah.
I can't be doing this. So
I can't let my passion for martial arts derail me here. Like I love this, but I gotta need something bigger. You know?
I need to follow my heart here. He does what, according to this article and this podcast, is a time-honored tradition in South America. He starts buying football clubs.
Nice.
That is the way you do it. This is famously something Pablo Escobar did. He took his hometown team in Colombia and made it the best team in Colombia just by like buying really good players, pumping tons of money into it. It's a fun, like, let me give back a little bit. And then the whole city fucking loves you because you made their team good. Like,
if you remember the DC Solar guy, Karpov, he bought the Martinez Sluggers or whatever from Martinez, California, and souped them all up for a season. And then before the season could start, he got fucking arrested. And they were just like, well, I guess
we're fucked. Yeah, so this is like a very common thing for South and Central American narcos to do. There's another example of a guy who was worked with El Chapo, who bought a bunch of Mexican soccer teams. He was laundering money through them. And after he got caught, they found out that his nickname was El Futbolista. He was so into football. And in Paraguay in particular, which is where a lot of this happens, there are really strong ties between soccer leagues, drug traffickers, and Paraguayan politicians. There's like a whole there. So, like for example, the former president of Paraguay, who was put on a U.S. sanctions list for corruption, funneled tens of $millions through one of the country's biggest soccer clubs. So, like the president. Then, so now we're getting into the fun part. Like I said, this is a common thing for narcos to do to launder their money. And in a place like Paraguay, where this guy was primarily working out of, it's like practically a given that if you're corrupt, you're going to be doing this. The difference is, remember, this guy wanted to be a soccer player. He played for these teams. He fought his way on and played for them.
Hell yeah.
Which is incredible.
Dude, why make the money if you're not going to have fun spending it? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's up. Like, so we said it's clearly his skills without the drug money.
He's not good.
He's not good. No. And so
there'd be no way he would make it onto these teams if he wasn't paid.
Oh man, were people just like he's going to like to try to score a goal? The guy's like having his head like, should I block him? If I block him, I might get killed. I don't know.
No, well, the thing is, like, it's sort of unclear the extent to which some of the team knew, some of the team didn't. It's unclear the extent to which people knew what his deal was. they knew he was a rich guy. I
Yeah.
don't know if they knew how or why.
Yeah.
At least at first. So, but no, he was bad.
Yeah.
So okay, he paid to have jersey number 10 on this first team he played for, which was called Deportivo Capiata. We're going to talk about a couple teams. This is the first one. He paid to have jersey number 10, which is Pele's number, Messi's number, and Maradona's number. So it's like, I'm the really good one. He was constantly fouling, and the refs would never card him.
Yeah.
His teams would lose because of him, but they weren't gonna not play him because he like would build them locker rooms. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like when Mr. Burns joins the bowling team on The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. The pen pals.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
He's rolling up to practice in a Lamborghini. The other guys on this team, this is not like a super premier team because he doesn't want to be like, you know,
yeah. You gotta
be a criminal and be like, hi, I'm on the Yankees.
Yeah,
like, it's a low level.
Team. Derek Jeter owned the Yankees and also was a cocaine kingpin.
Right. So he's like, it's not like it's not a team that's doing great. Its most notable player before this was a guy who built them a stadium, who then went on to be a Paraguayan senator, who then was charged with laundering drug trafficking money. So, like, again, it happens. The difference here is that this guy was fucking playing and was bad.
Yeah.
Like, the other guy was an actual soccer player, then became a politician, then got corrupt.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
yeah. He earned it. All right. Like,
he earned it.
I'm wondering if he would have ever crossed paths with our friend Carlos Kaiser, the soccer guy who wasn't good at soccer. He was from Brazil.
Possible.
There's a possibility. Yeah.
Entirely possible. So this was like a big problem because he made a deal with his teammates. He was like, okay, if you win the game for us, you all get a $10,000 bonus. The problem was they couldn't win when they played the guy because he wasn't good. And so they were constantly frustrated because they were like, we have to play him. He's like demanding to be on the starting lineup. But also, like, this amount of money for these guys would like completely change.
Yeah, it's life-changing amount. Yeah, life-changing amount of money.
They get paid $500 a week. Like, this is crazy money to them. So yeah, but they just couldn't. They were so
but what if we try real hard and you give us $8,000 for the effort? You know what I'm saying? Like, because, is there any way we could ever know like his level of self-awareness for his soccer skills?
It's he does not address it. He does give a lot of direct addresses about things.
Also, I keep forgetting this guy's at large. My bad, dog. You know, I'm sure you played your heart out.
He's giving interviews while he's at large. Don't worry about it. You're not crazy for thinking that. So he learns that the narco cops are sort of closing in. They don't know it's him specifically, but he knows he's being investigated. So he ends up leaving Deportivo Capiata.
Bad news, guys. I can't make next week's game. They're like, oh, damn, gee. Like, is that $10,000 still on the table, though? Does that still...
Right. Like, are you still... How is this going? But it's weird. It's interesting because before this happened, he was playing under his real name. He was listed on the roster on the website. Like, he was in pictures.
Yeah.
Like, he was not hiding at all.
He says El Jefe Mejor in his fucking jersey.
So he sort of goes to ground after this when he realizes, like, okay, they know enough about me that, like, I need to be worried.
Yeah, he's just like, damn, I got to give up my dream of being a soccer player. That's
I think he maybe initially thought that, but then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to go join another soccer team.
Yeah.
Which is what he does. He cannot be stopped.
Is there, I wonder what how the sports journalism world, if they kind of see what's going on, or if they're just like, hey, that really shitty guy from that other team's on another team somehow. We don't know how that happened.
Maybe they paid to take him or something, get him out of his contract.
Yeah.
So he joins this other team called Rubio New. Let me figure out where this is. So he goes to this team. He basically like appoints his brother as the like on paper owner. This is another team in Paraguay, I guess. And he immediately builds them a new locker room. But he's smart this time. He stays out of the games. He doesn't play the games. he just goes to all their practices.
Yeah.
Which is like, I love your heart, man. I love your heart.
Yeah.
I just want to play.
He's
it's
like,
probably a pain in the ass when like someone's partnered with you for drills and you like miss the ball all the time, but like whatever.
Yeah. He's like Rudy if he could kill the entire Notre Dame football team.
Exactly. Yeah, a violent Rudy. That's the thing is, I also like, I'm not talking about it here, but all throughout this time, he is killing like hella people.
Oh, yeah,
He's, like,
yeah.
He is, like we said, we were talking, he's a little bit insulated from violence, but not when he gets this big. He is murdering people, sometimes himself, a lot of times ordering it, but like, a scary, violent man.
Yeah.
But he's having a good time.
Yeah, he's having fun. Wait, when's the last time you had fun? You know, think about what you're doing with your life. Are you playing soccer? Are you following your dream?
Exactly. Are you using your money to follow your dream? I think so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're funneling it into bills like some kind of schmuck when you could be buying soccer teams and forcing them to let you play with implied threats of violence.
So this was interesting to me. At this point, he starts doing a lot of player transfers to launder money. So the way, like, there are a lot of ways to launder money if you own a soccer team.
He's like, I'm trading you to Real Madrid for we're trading this guy for a big pile of money. We're gonna
So what he would do is he would let me go back. As I said, there are a million ways to launder money if you own a soccer team. You can inflate people's salaries. You can, take on construction projects. You can get new uniforms, like anything you spend money on, like inflate gate prices, like whatever. It's easy to do. But the easiest way that he found was to do a lot of player transfers. And the way that this would work is because this is such a prevalent thing, he would find... So it's especially prevalent with like this level of team, like a professional but very small kind of struggling team. There are tons of them in Europe that are also connected to organized crime. And he was shipping drugs to Europe. So he would find a team that had these connections and then facilitate a player transfer for like vastly inflated fees.
Yeah.
And it would basically just cover what was actually people purchasing cocaine. That's what it was.
They're like, all right, bud, you're going to go play over there in Frankfurt. Make sure you carry this shipment of 400 soccer balls with you. Don't touch those now. Be very careful with them, actually, man. They can't leave your sight, but also don't touch them.
So there's one Colombian police officer is quoted who's talking about the way this works as an example of like another case that he dealt with. For example, they buy a Colombian player from a very low-level soccer team and then take him to play in the Croatian soccer league. But they sell him for 100 or 200 times more than what he cost. And that he's talking about like something that he worked on in Albanian organized crime with Colombia. So he's playing for them. It's like, a couple months go by. The Paraguayan authorities still don't know specifically who is running this cartel. They don't have a name. They have a general description. He fled before they figured out what was going on. So they get a tip in 2021 that the big boss is going to be taking a private jet out of this airport in Paraguay. So they go to this airport in Paraguay and they're watching the passengers and they see Sebastian Marset. They don't know it's him yet. He is getting on the plane with a Bolivian passport and the people checking it are like, this is fake. This is fake. Because they'd all been tipped off that somebody was going to come through. Right?
Yeah.
So they're like, this isn't real. So when they take a look at the guy, they like search his description and stuff. They figure out that it's this Uruguayan soccer player. And the way that they figure this out, which is why I was talking about the tattoos, is part of how they figured it out was by looking at and describing his tattoos.
Yeah.
If you're going to be this type of guy, you can't have tattoos.
Yeah.
You can't disguise it. Like there's no, unless you have tattoos in places that are not visible, you can't. You can't blend in with it. Like it's a definitive identity marker. You can't do it. Unless you travel with like 10 other guys that have the same tattoos or something.
Yeah. And that in and of itself looks weird now. It's like, wait a minute, what are you guys all... Man, the crazy thing is the hardest part about running from the cops as a soccer player is eventually you have to hit the slide. That's when they fucking tackle you.
Also, and also if one of them touches you, you have to fall down. It's like you're dying. Yeah. but they figure out who it is, and they're like, wait, this shitty soccer
Yeah.
player? Because that's
Yeah.
everything attached to his name. He's a shitty soccer player. So now they know who he is, but he loses the tail. He gets
Okay.
out.
It seemed like totally
Um,
unself-aware. He's like, I know, guys, it's crazy. A famous, skilled soccer player like myself. And like, that's not what we're thinking, man.
Yeah,
that was not the
exactly.
descriptor that's going on in our
How
head.
could he need a side career? He's such a good soccer player.
This soccer player was so shitty. He was forced to sell cocaine to make ends meet. You know?
So he loses the tail, and the next time they find him is like fall of 2021. So like maybe 6 months later.
Damn, they got his
Pops
ass.
up again.
Got his ass in the apple orchard. He had a fucking scarf on. He's having a time. Just popped his ass.
Drinking some hot cider.
Yeah. He just fucking got tackled.
So this time they find him because he fucked up. He made a mistake. He got caught in Dubai using a fake passport, and they threw him in jail.
Yeah,
they don't know. They don't know who he is. He doesn't have like an Interpol thing out for him or anything yet. But they're just like, you have a fake passport. Like,
yeah,
you're going like talk about going to jail in other countries. I don't want to go to jail in Dubai.
No, yeah, there's like 2 or 3 news stories that have come up where it's just like, oh, you hooked up with a girl on vacation, like that's life in prison. Like, you know, that's people are they don't play around.
You had a crumb of weed in your pocket.
Yeah,
goodbye. Yeah. So what was he doing in Dubai? Classic evil guy shit, of course.
Yeah.
What every dude like this was doing in Dubai. He apparently owns $18 million in real estate just in Dubai alone. He was there partying. But he got nabbed. But don't worry, as I said before, this dude is crazy connected politically in South America. So, for example, it came out that he once borrowed a Paraguayan senator's plane to traffic drugs, like straight up. Also, the president of Paraguay's uncle was caught flying one of his drug trafficking. So,
this incestuous plane network where it's like, I'm flying your plane, flying my plane.
Also, I feel like it's a real tell of the power dynamic where it's like the president is not in control if the uncle is working for the drug trafficker. The drug trafficker is in control. The president is not like, hey man, can you get my uncle a job? That's dark. That president is not doing well if he's like, dude, you gotta hook up my uncle.
I have no room for him here. I can't do anything.
You hook up your uncle. Like, you're the president.
Yeah, when the president has to call a guy, like, hey, you gotta help me out, man. That's
right. My piece of shit uncle needs a job. Yeah. Come on.
Does this guy does he get high off his own supply? Does that come up at all? Or just says he parties and shit?
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely living the life. He's like, he loves a fancy car. He wears designer clothes. He looks like a rich douchebag. For sure.
Were we talking about you said at 36 and like me at 39, like we just don't know a lot of people that do cocaine anymore. Give me $1 billion. That will change. I will all of a sudden know a lot more people that do cocaine.
I'd imagine he probably doesn't. I feel like most of these guys don't do the drug that they sell because that's just it's asking for a problem.
It's a huge complication.
Maybe on special occasions. He has a wife and kids, so
okay.
I don't think he's like going too crazy, but
yeah, he's like, dude, I'm up practicing for soccer every morning at 5 a.m. I can't do cocaine. He's still taking it very seriously.
That's the thing is like he does take it, like he goes to these practices and stuff. Like he is taking it seriously. He's just not very good.
Yeah. Like, we've all met people in comedy who like have the ability to live in a city rent free for an indefinite period of time. And they're very active. They're on every fucking mic. They might even use some of their like connections to run a show or whatever. And it's just like, but at the end of the day, they're just not good. And it's like, they might be nice. They might be a fun hang. And it's like, but they're just around because they don't have to work because they got family money or whatever the case may be. It's like, yeah, dude, those guys are a good connections to have, you know, like they can help you out.
Yeah, and like a lot of them eventually kind of know it, and like it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, you gave it a shot, wasn't for you.
Yeah,
still love hanging out with you, man.
I went up at a Friendsgiving with a comic this year that I met. I don't know his name. He's a guy that moved to Austin, and he was just like, he was like telling us about how his dad his dad plays golf with the head of Boeing and all this stuff, and he was just like
brother.
super very like I'm here in Austin to like really focus on comedy, and then like just as the night went on, I was just like, man, this dude is just terribly unfunny, and it just like I just like was like, and I was just like, damn, that's crazy, and like he was just explaining how like, yeah, my family's all ready for me to pack it up and move back home, and I'm just like, nope, I'm still down here, and I was like, man, dude, just get out, dog.
Pack it up.
Yeah,
Pack it up.
Go
Make
play.
sure you don't get cut off from that trust fund, man.
Yeah, go play golf.
You don't want to stay too long.
Yeah. Don't fuck this up for me. You know, I want you to do this just because I don't even know you. I just want you to have this. You know, yeah, crazy.
Anyway, this guy super connected, in prison in Dubai, so he's gonna figure out how to get out. So this is a real race against the clock, right? Because like eventually someone who's looking for him is gonna figure out that he's there.
Yeah.
So he calls in his favors. Paraguay never issues a warrant for him, which is like it's still unclear why they didn't. Probably because he like has that shit unlocked.
Because he had their planes in his hangar, and he was like, "You want your plane back? Play ball."
But like he at this point he needs a Uruguayan passport because that's what he should have. He needs like a real passport.
Yeah.
Is his problem. So, but don't worry, he's also connected in Uruguay. And he applies, with the help of his lawyer from prison, he applies for a legitimate Uruguayan passport. And he also, at the same time, puts a hit out on the guy who made the fake passport. Yeah. He's got a phone in jail. He's making calls.
Oh, no. That guy was like, he gets word that he didn't make it through. He's like, oh, he got arrested? Oh, for having a fake passport? Well, I might want to get my affairs in order. Yeah. I might want to get a real passport and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So Uruguay sends him a passport in a, quote, diplomatic bag that is unsearchable. They can bring in whatever they want.
Oh, yeah.
So they fly someone over with a passport for him, and he gets out. Like before the U.S. finds out, before any of these other countries find out, he's gone.
Yeah.
And this becomes like a big political scandal in Uruguay because again, Uruguay holds itself up as like, we're outside of this, we're not corrupt, we don't have these problems.
Yeah.
So this becomes a big political scandal.
You guys are acting real Paraguay, Uruguay. You know?
Exactly. Like, this is not who we are. We're not Paraguay.
Interpol is like, I'm not even mad, I'm disappointed. Uruguay.
So he walks out of prison. The guy who made the passport gets shot. And RIP. And then the guy who is charged with investigating the murder of the passport guy is this very prominent Paraguayan prosecutor named Marcelo Pecci. And he's the one who says, like, I think these things are related. Several months later, he gets shot on his honeymoon.
He's like, this dude slipped on one of them fake fast passports he was making. The gun flipped up, shot him in the head. Case closed. Act of God.
Yeah. So this happened in Colombia, and the president of Colombia blamed Sebastian Marset for this, said he did it. Interestingly, Marset he does not deny shit. Like, he will brag about stuff. He says he didn't do this. So that's a little interesting, notable that he said he didn't do this one.
Yeah, that's one of those things like when you watch like a serial killer thing and they're just like, you did this one too. They're like, nah, I didn't do that one. You know, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But this also would be, if he did it, is the most prominent person whose murder he could be tied to. So he might have a reason to say he didn't if he did, you know. But here's the thing. Where was he going from Dubai when he was trying to leave and he got stopped with this passport? He was on his way to join yet another football team.
He's like, guys, we got to speed this along. We're starting spring training. I got to get there.
Yeah, I got to go. I got to get to my team. So at this point, and this, I think he was smart to do this, but it just didn't, the timing didn't work out. He traded himself to Europe. He was like, I'm gonna go live in Greece. I'm gonna play for a Greek team where I can probably go to the games and people aren't gonna know who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I can actually play again. So he pulls the same stunt again with this team called Trikala FC in Greece, which already has a terrible reputation in terms of corruption.
Yeah.
So this team in 2024, so like slightly after this happened, this story, but like still just speaking to the reputation of this team, its former owner, the owner before Sebastian Marset, Christos Gallia, was shot more than a dozen times with a Kalashnikov rifle and burned in his car.
Oh no, that's like 2 Godfather deaths in one. That's insane.
It's crazy. He'd previously been arrested on charges of arms and drug trafficking, and then the previous president of the team was convicted on drug trafficking in 2017 after he was found with 20 kilos of cocaine.
Damn.
So this team is already like in it.
Yeah. I guess I don't know if he did the research, but he's like, this seems like my kind of place. I might, yeah.
I imagine he probably worked with them to trade players and then was like, I'm gonna trade myself over here. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. So when he was in Dubai, he sent like a Paraguayan delegation to this team to like sort of set things up for him before he got there. And they interviewed some players who were on this team. They were like, yeah, these dudes from Paraguay showed up and we started getting all our salaries paid in cash. Like, all right.
Hey, can I do direct deposit? You can take this and go directly deposit it in the fucking bank. But yeah,
right. So they're confused, but they also they know what team they play for. They're like, all right.
Yeah, I know what time it is.
So he sends over all these Paraguayan players. They also got like big bonuses for going over there. Since like at this point, like they basically like after Marset gets out and it causes a scandal, they like pick him up again and figure out where he's going. And they like authorities are watching this team because they're like, okay, because they know at this point, they're like, if we want to find this guy, we look for a shitty team that suddenly has a new stadium. Like that's how we find this guy. So they're watching this and they're hoping they can get some hard evidence for these crimes, but Marset never shows, and all of these guys from Paraguay just go back. Like sort of as quickly as they arrive, they all peace out again. And it's presumably because he knew that they were watching.
Yeah. So he's gonna wind up on like the fucking Dallas Cowboys or something.
Right? I promise there's only one more team. The saga will be concluded. But after this whole debacle, Paraguay, like this whole passport thing is causing all these problems. The US is furious, Paraguay is furious. Paraguay's like, fuck this guy, we're gonna raid him. Like we're tired of this. We're like anything tied to him, because they'd found all these shell companies and they'd like figure out all this stuff. Yeah. So like we're just gonna like, it's like the fucking Wire, like drugs on the table. We're gonna get what we can get from these raids. And they do get hundreds of millions of dollars. They arrest dozens of his associates, but he's gone. He's in the wind. So they spend the next year just watching for weird stuff happening at shitty football teams. Yeah. So that's the only way they're gonna like find him. Yeah,
like Detroit Lions, fucking Dallas Cowboys. We got our eyes on you.
So they watch these soccer clubs for like a year, and he finally turns up on a team in Bolivia where he was playing in the games under a fake. He was playing under a fake name, so he finally learned his fucking lesson.
Yeah, give me the worst scores in Bolivia. That's right here, boss. All right,
show me the teams with the ridiculous losing streaks.
Yeah. That would suck me to find the losing soccer team, and you're just like 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-1, 0. We lost by 1. Write that one down. He might be on the 0 team who lost by 1. So.
So they're watching for a year, and he finally turns up on this team in Bolivia where he's playing under a fake name. He built them a whole like top of the line athletic training center. He hired like a guy from a star from the Bolivian national team to come coach them. Wow. He got them everything. But the problem is he has not gotten any better at soccer. It doesn't matter.
Well, he's got a lot going on.
He's busy. He is very busy. He also has 4 kids at this point. So like he's busy with drug stuff. He's busy with kids. Like he's got a lot going on.
Boy, if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Where does he find the time?
Yeah.
Where does he find the time? But yeah, so it's like you can pour all the money into it you want. You can get the best coaches you want. You also want to be on the starting lineup, so they're never gonna win.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Man, that's
So
insane. It's just like I feel like a lot of his problems could have been solved by not being on a soccer team, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't put it down,
he
man.
couldn't stay away. He could
Yeah.
not stay away. Um, so this is very funny to me. One of his teammates, so he's like clearly has money. Like all his teammates know he has money because he's showing up in, his Lambo or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of his teammates, who again is like pretty broke if you play for these teams, they don't make a lot of money. And he asked him, like, how are you, like, what do you do? Like, how are you able to afford all this stuff? And he says, quote, it's all about work. You need to work and work and work. You can't ever give up. He's just like, I don't know, hustle, man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
sell drugs.
You just gotta work and work and work and jump from country to country and yeah.
Kill
Yeah.
some people.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah. How to win friends and kill people. Did he ever did he, I wonder if anybody has to borrow money, because that'd have been my move. I'd have been like, damn, you're literally living like, can you spot me to a payday? I wonder how he would have taken that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because it would have been nothing to him, but also he seems like he maybe is not the most forgiving man.
Yeah,
If I had to guess.
yeah. You gotta have that bread, dude.
You gotta have that money. So the reason he was able to do this for a year is because he just bribed officials in Bolivia, where he was living in a part of Bolivia where a lot of the money comes from drug trafficking. It's where like all the cocaine is manufactured, and he was like in that part of the country, so it wasn't that unusual for a dude. If a dude is inexplicably rich, like you probably know why.
Yeah.
And also like he can pay off the cops because like no one's making that much money.
Yeah.
So that's how he was able to do it, is he just bribed anybody who might get upset about it. But then eventually Paraguay figures it out and they get pissed off and they raid him again. But he's gone because he got tipped off by the people that the cops that he was on his payroll tipped him off. So the police eventually arrested 39 people, including the coach of the team he was on, 2 of the teammates, the team's grounds manager. They seized the soccer field, which is like kind of sad.
For a sport he loved, he really did a lot of damage to it.
Yeah. They only seized 2 of the teammates. There are like probably 20 other guys that are like, I just want to play soccer, man.
This guy reminds like the periphery characters in this, like they remind me of the pastor from Ozark, where he's just like, I just want to preach the word of God. It's like, you're gonna help us sell heroin, you dumbass.
Yeah, good people caught up.
Yeah.
They're stupid. They also seized 35 properties, 9 aircraft, 77 cars, 81 weapons, 1,300 heads of livestock and poultry. That's weird. He had a farm, I guess.
He wants to flex in his home country. You know what I'm saying? Like
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. And $27 million in assets. So after they figured out he's in the wind, they place 158 checkpoints around the country looking for him. They have like 3,000 cops dispatched to go find him. But he's gone. They can't find him.
Yeah, in the wind.
But then,
shit.
While he's in the wind, he sends a video to this lawyer named Jessica Echeverria, who is like very followed on social media. She's like a pundit.
I personally know a woman named Jessica Echeverria.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's her. You should ask her about this guy. She might be like, I don't talk about that.
Yeah, no, she is not a journalist. I don't like. I just know a woman named that who lives in a town.
So he sends her this video, like clearly for mass consumption.
Yeah.
Where he says, Thanks to the help of the director of the anti-narcotics police, I've managed to leave.
Oh, damn. The guy's like,
he named snitch. I can't believe he snitched.
Yeah.
But he says, he told me that the minister had already issued an arrest warrant against me. So he just burned his guy.
What a millennial, man. He has to post. He's just like
he has to post, dude. He has to post. He needs everyone to know how smart he is. He needs the view counts. Like he's in it for clout.
He's taking a break from Facebook, and like here's the fucking post announcing that he's taking the break from Facebook.
he sends another video to journalists, basically just being like, "You'll never catch me." Like he does. This is very. I think this is very smart, though. He says, "Look, I'm too smart. You're not going to catch me. I'm very far away. You're never going to find me. But also, if you do, I'm going to reveal all of my connections.
Yeah.
And you really don't want to catch me.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to be fucked because it's like all of you."
He already blamed the one guy who helped him. And I was like, "Yeah, fucking thanks, Sebastian. Jesus Christ." They all look at that guy. He's like, "Yeah, he's a drug dealer and a liar. We can't trust this guy."
So in November of 2023, he actually gets this television anchor in Uruguay to come interview him. So she says she got in one helicopter, they flew to somewhere. She got in another helicopter, they flew to somewhere. Then they got in some cars. And they showed up somewhere else, and he was there.
They flew by one helicopter. She had to jump from that one to the other one.
So, he like produced this whole weird documentary based on this interview where he put in songs he liked, and he's very millennial, this guy.
Yeah, right.
He made his mixtape about how cool he was.
Do you guys remember when you could put music on your MySpace page? What happened to that? Man, he reminds me of so much of Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong Un. Yeah, the original the original guy. It's Kim Jong Il's the guy now, right? No, it's Un now.
There's Kim Il's son, Kim Jong Il, and Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, Kim Jong Il. How he had his own little film production company, and he made a ton of movies. Well, a lot of weirdo megalomaniacs do that. Saddam Hussein had a bunch of movies made where he was in them. Apparently, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Elon Musk is doing the internet version of this.
Yeah.
I want to be a guy who's good at posts.
Yeah, so
but it's the same impulse, you know.
Yeah, that's insane. This is there's. At what point, what life do you want to live? Do you want to be a billionaire Coke guy? Do you want to be a soccer player? Or do you want to be an influencer? And it feels like he wants to do all three. And it's like, buddy, two of those things you can do. Or basically the drug dealing thing, it just cancels that out, man. You can't do any of those other things when you're selling drugs. You can't do them without fucking everything up.
Yeah, and he just he kind of can't stay away, which is why, because of the thing you're saying, they haven't found him. But the cops are watching the football team. They're he can't stay away. Apparently his wife was apprehended at the Madrid airport. She says she turned herself in, which I kind of believe, because it's she wouldn't just be out there like that if she didn't want to get caught.
Yeah.
So she says she turned herself in. She was I was tired of hiding from crimes I didn't do.
Yeah.
So sorry, man, lost your wife. Bummer. But yeah, he's still out there,
still in the wind, and they're just looking for poorly performing soccer teams that have brand new facilities. Hey, Chief, take a look at this one. Guys went 0-16 last season. What are the uniforms made out of? Solid gold. They're let's go.
Who's number 10? Tell us who's number 10. So yeah, that's Sebastian Marset. I'd never heard of him before. He's a very powerful dude. Yeah, one of the world's kind of most successful criminals at this point. There's Interpol shit out for him now. It's on.
I kind of wish I would have known how online he was before we did this episode. I didn't. No, it's Sebastian. If you're listening, man, we appreciate it. We see the nuance in what it is you're doing.
Yeah. It's complicated. Good for you for living your dreams. Thanks for giving us content. We can't be mad at you.
But me and everybody else here in Sacramento, which is where I am at, and Kath, Kath is actually in Vancouver, and so everybody here in Sacramento and Vancouver loves you. So just keep up the good work, and I vacation in Guam, so that's where you can find me. Look for me in Guam.
If you see me, say hi.
But start looking there for me. Don't look anywhere else. Well, damn, thank you, Kath. That was very fun. I love that. That's a good
wild ride.
Just a good delusional poster guy. Damn, I'm just thinking if this guy this guy seems like a dude that you would meet in any scene, in a music scene, just puts crazy
Rich
online.
Guy who bought his way in. there's a term for these guys in wrestling. They're called money marks, and they're like
Oh.
they buy promotions and because they like wrestling and they're like, I want to decide who wins and who loses. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole way you become a successful wrestler is you like convince the money mark that you're his friend because he just wants to be cool, and then
Oh,
he'll
yeah.
book you to be the champion.
Damn, there you
yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah. Look for
These
these
dudes
guys.
exist everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you again, Kevin Seif and Sarah James McLaughlin, who were the sources I used to put this together.
Yeah, yeah, those were great. Thank you so much, Kath. And guys, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your January is getting off to a great start. Again, if you like what you heard, we drop 2 episodes every month. We also drop 2 more every month on our Patreon at patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. You get access to our entire back catalog. You get access to our Discord server. You can hang out with the Scam Gang. You can talk scams. Fun place to be. Look for us online. I'm on Instagram at PZTexas. That's PEEZYTX. I will be going and doing some shows in the Dakotas in March 19th to the 21st, starting in Bismarck, Dickinson, and then down to South Dakota, we're doing Deadwood, and I'm also doing Hill City, right in the shadow of Mount Rushmore. And you can find the podcast online. We are at we are at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube. Kath, you got anything for us?
I'm Kath Barbadoro on Blue Sky and Instagram, and I have another podcast called What a Time to Be Alive that comes out every week. It's about stupid news stories, so check that out. That's all.
Check it out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you look, follow your dreams. You know, saying and also we didn't discuss something worth it. I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it seems like it for now.
He's having a good time out in the jungle or wherever he's hiding out, according to this interviewer. So yeah, I think worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it. Yeah, guys, be safe, follow your dreams, and if you need to sell $1 billion worth of cocaine to do it, maybe reevaluate your dreams. That being said, guys, I hope you had a fun time listening to this. Be safe, be smart, but above all, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. See you next time.